Good evening, and welcome to another haphazard version of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. Now here's your happy-go-lucky and hapless host, Voice of Doom. Hello. I changed the format of my diatribes. Got something different on the back. That's my idea of, production value and, making changes is turn my computer a little bit. That's it. Still primitive as usual and still minimalist. I'm proud of it. But we won't speak of pride this time, because I am not proud of anything I'm seeing. It's an eventful day, and yet nothing is surprising. In an earlier day and age, when we were very primitive people, back in the 80s, even 90s, news that came out today would be earth-shattering. But in this day and age, nobody even bats an eye. So what? Big deal. The next president was indicted again. So what? Yawn. I mean, that's 2 indictments, 2 different cases that Orangey is facing. His transgressions with whatever he did in New York. I don't even know what the charges were. Whatever Alvin is doing. And now a new indictment having to do with him having classified information. Now it's not that he had classified information. It's never what you actually do. It's obstruction. It's different charges that are a result of some charge that they can't make anyway. You obstructed our investigation by holding those papers. Well, I'm allowed to have them. Well, we wanted them and you didn't give it to us, so we'll indict you for obstruction. It's not against the law for you to have the papers, but since you didn't give them to us, we will get you for something else. So Orangey will skate. Orangey will slip through all of the indictments that come his way, because they've cast slings and arrows and lances and torches and flamethrowers at the guy, and they always come out looking like idiots. But the problem is nobody ever says they're idiots. Of course not. They just move on, or they just try to ignore the fact that everything they said was a lie vis-a-vis Russian collusion, which Petri dish is up to his ears in. But do they say anything about that? Not a thing. They don't say anything, and they lambaste and ostracize anyone who dares say anything like that. And we could say that it's impunicitous, the utter gall, two-faced hypocrisy and corruption of one person has many documents in his garage in various places, Chinese laundries and here and there and everywhere, and they just say, well, we'll get these back and that's it, you're done. No harm done. Orangey has to go through the system and be booked again. He's going to have his mugshots everywhere. And they'll make hay about it, because all these things will be dragged out for a year and a half just in time for the general election. So I think a lot of people are really getting frustrated with the corruption, because it's so obvious. It's so obvious that they're actually daring somebody to do anything about it. And nobody's going to. The goppers in Congress, oversight committees, yeah, they'll get something done when this whole generation is gone. They'll have their conclusions and their findings in 2079. Now, come on. And that's only if the goppers stay in Congress that long. They're not going to get anything done. Nobody's going to get indicted. Nobody's going to get in trouble for anything. They have a thing which would make huge headlines across the globe back in 1974. Huge. They have a verified document that Petri Dish and his no-account son took a bribe of $10 million from, who was it? Ukraine, I guess. Had something to do with Burisma and all that, get rid of the prosecutor. We've all seen that story. I'm not going to repeat it. He's corrupt with impunity. And everybody knows it, and nobody's going to do anything. So I wish that the fire and brimstone would come down, because that'll make people go, wait a minute. We can't just back this guy up anymore because our cities are being atomized. And we'll see what happens, how people react then. First, they'll be scurrying around. And the smart people will have already had their plans to ride out the disaster. And all these elites will be in their fallout shelters, which are probably very well appointed. So there's not going to be any justice. Forget justice. Who's going to do what? I know what should be done, and I'm not going to say it, because it could be hyperbole, a little over the top. But it has to do with medieval things. So we won't go into that, but that's what should be done, because they're demonic entities, they're evil. They're destroying this planet in front of our very eyes. Okay, where are they destroying things? Besides killing cows in Ireland, besides curtailing all food production and saying we have plenty of bugs so nobody will starve. You watch Papillon, he got used to it. Dams. Oh, those dam rescues blew up a dam that they needed. Just like they blew up their own pipeline that was making them money. Now, everybody knows what's going on with that. But we don't know what's going on with that because they tell us stuff that isn't true. They told us that the Ukrainian troops took some towns back. And I've seen reportage live with a real phone that they did not take any towns back. But that's disinformation and misinformation from a hack news organization. Redacted. They're not credible. Expatriates. Now come on. We're being lied to constantly. All of our money is being pilfered away to disperse and distribute weaponry throughout this planet for everyone to get. Because the Ukrainians, they got a lot of weaponry and they probably have more than they really need, so they'll probably sell a bit. A few weapons, a few bombs, a few missiles, a few rockets could slip into the warehouses of a couple oligarchs, and they could possibly sell them to whoever. But we won't speak of such things because that is against the common mode of thought that we must all stand behind Ukraine and we must give them as much weaponry as humanly possible. Now, let's get back to this damn business, because no matter who blew it up, no matter who blew it up, it's bad. If the Russians blew it up, they're idiots because they're flooding their own area, Crimea. They're stymieing their own advance. And if the Ukrainians blew it up, then they're just sabotaging themselves. Just, America will pay for this dam later when we rebuild, which we will. I don't know what kind of currency we'll use, but we'll rebuild that dam. But the water is flowing, and there's nuclear power plants in that area. And I guess there's some sort of an issue with the cooling system, that maybe the water, you would think it would stay really cool because it's going to be flooded, but I don't know how these nuclear power plants work. But I guess there could be a meltdown, and I guess if the cooling system goes down because of this dam, then the meltdown could create, clouds, which they will blame on the Russians. And if the vapors from the meltdown explosion drifts into a NATO country, then I guess there's certain people that said that's an act of war. Now, if Ukraine blew up the dam and that caused the meltdown, which caused the plumes to go into Poland, and then they say that's war, then we're really effed up. It really makes Vietnam look like a sensible mission in retrospect compared to what we're doing now. And we've utterly failed in Afghanistan, so that was 20 years of war that accomplished absolutely nothing, that made the enemy stronger than they were. And we have a corrupt to the bone administration, and then people denying it and then saying disinformation and misinformation, and we should be way more concerned with whether transgendered males should be able to play in women's sports. That is a much bigger issue than worrying about any of this damn business or any of this corruption that's rampant, that's so thick. It makes La Brea Tar Pits look like an ice skating rink. Come on. I mean, people better wake up and get it together. I'm not going to do many more of these diatribes. I've already said everything. I just want to rant about the impunicity. Orangey has his foibles, but the way they're torturing and persecuting the guy is very maddening when you see the other side corrupt to the bone. Evil, satanic entities. And we have to put up with it. They've shut everybody up. And there's not going to be some sort of a civil uprising of any kind. And there's not going to be a coup d'etat by the lower echelon of the military, which there should be. We should be in martial law right now if we want to remain alive. We should be in martial law. We cannot keep this government the way it's going. It was fun for a while. Let's start something new. Got to, or we're going to all perish. Because God will probably destroy the righteous with the wicked this time, because who's going to sort them out? Unless the rapture comes. That'd be cool, huh? Now, I was going to go up in the rapture, but now I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I don't know the logistics of it. But I still don't have anything against Jesus. If he died for my sins, I'm thankful. But that's a big if. So I'm not going to get ranting about that and go off on tangents. I just said enough. It's just a general rant about everything that's going on. And it sucks. And everybody knows it sucks. And we're going to put up with it. So I'll just leave it there. Have a good evening. Good night.